you have this crazy thing. You go, you become crazy successful, right? You get some confidence from the military, I imagine.
Yeah.
When do you go like, and why finance? You go from the military to finance. Why?
Man, I love numbers.
So simple as that.
I mean, I can't tell you how much I love numbers. Oh yeah, I love anything to do. Everything here is numbers. Number of cameras, angles, how you're seated, you know, the books, you know, the buy books by foot, you know, 10 feet, 20 feet here. Everything is numbers.
You know how much you love numbers? You took the SAT and then walked out of the verbal portion, which means you literally just wanted to take the SAT math.
Listen,
I'm not getting into college. I just want to do this test.
And I love, listen, when I was in the Army, I bought a math analysis book just to do math analysis in the Army, in my barracks. That's how this is not a story I proudly share, but that's how much I love numbers. So when I worked at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter and I'm looking at the Series 7, everything, they're like, you realize you're going to fail this test. You know, if you fail it, you're not going to get a job here. I'm like, let me give it a shot. And then you take the Series 7. First time, if you fail, you lost you get fired. Boom. I'm like, I love this world. Look at this. What if you can do this and you can take money and do this with it? And what about this investment? How about the? It's a beautiful game. I mean, to me, capitalism is all a game. If you look at this game of like the whole concept of business, you're playing a game and you're killing it, right? I mean, Flagrant, you guys are killing it. Your podcast, your show as a comedian, the whole concept of a comedian, how you do it. You know, if you're too disconnected from the audience, you're not going on the road to kind of see the reaction, how they reacted, how many of the people reacting to this joke, men, women, most of them were men, none of them were women. What if I can do this? How about if I can? That's all numbers. Everything with your world is also mathematical formula behind it. So for me, when I got into the financial services, I was like, oh, I found my home. And I said, I'm going to go 20 years. Yeah. I said, I'm going to go 20 years. And then I went 20 years, October of 2009. After Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, I go to Transamerica. I'm there 7.5 years. Yeah. Then I see what's going on in the marketplace. And I'm seeing the fact that, you know, the insurance industry is filled with 56-year-old white male. Yeah. And I saw no one else is going from women selling insurance.
Do you know anything about insurance at this time?
Nothing. My parents have never owned a 401k. My parents have never lived in a house my parents owned. They've never owned insurance. They've never. We didn't even have auto insurance back in the days. Nothing.
The car didn't
Literally,
go
my dad was he was a cashier at a 99-cent store. No, we got nothing. Zero.
Okay.
You know, I kept asking my mom, you guys sure we don't have some kind of a relative that's got oil? I'm looking for one uncle. Does anybody have money? Nothing. Zero.
So you're like, all right, fuck it. I'll just dominate the insurance business.
Yeah.
Now, how did you dominate? You said there was basically a white space where everybody is white male,
so
and now you can.
Let me tell you, there was a couple things that was going. And this applies to every business. This applies to whatever you do in your life. So these guys wrote this book called Blue Ocean Strategy. If you've never read it, you got to read it. Okay, so the whole concept of Blue Ocean Strategy is how can you be? Everybody's making fun of these guys. How about if I'm not going to compete for this space? I'm going to go do comedy here. Everybody's playing this game. Everybody's selling to these guys. I'm going to go sell here. So I'm looking at insurance, and I said, okay, everybody's targeting this audience. No one's targeting the fastest growing audience in America, it's the Hispanic audience, and no one is recruiting women. Only 17% of agents are women? You're kidding me. No. Perfect. That's what we're going to be doing. Boom. We target that audience. The financial industry was going away from social media because they were scared. Every communication you have with your client, you have to document it. We can't do that. Social media is not waiting for you. So I dropped my securities license. I focused only on life. Fast forward to today. We just sold a company a year ago. We have roughly 45,000 people we've licensed in 49 different states. 54% or so are women. 51% are Hispanic. In a company. And the average age is 34 years old. You come to a convention, you're going to look at the audience, you're going to say, there's no way in the world this is an insurance conference. A big-ass party.
How much did you sell the company for?
A few $100 million.
A few $100 million is a wonderful way to say it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so you get complete financial freedom. You don't have to work another day in your life.
I don't have to work a single day in my life.
And then you decide to be a YouTuber.
Well, you know, the YouTubing thing kind of started 2013.
Right.
Well, I'm like, yeah, let me do a video a week called 2 Minutes with Pat. We do 100 videos. Only the last video was 2 minutes. Everything else was 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 12 minutes. And then we kind of grow and I'm like, listen, there's an audience for entrepreneurship. Let's pick one word. We went entrepreneur, created a bunch of business content. And I said, I'm not touching politics. Every time I did politics, Mario would say, Pat, you're talking politics. This is not politics. Pat, you said you don't want to do political content. Okay, we can't do this one. Let's change it. And then eventually I take a break. We're at like 450,000 subs. And I said, I'm not doing this right now. We took a 3-month break. I was having kids and family's busy. I'm traveling 6 months on the road. So I said, if we come back, we got to really compete. We got to really do something with this. And then we bought the domain Valuetainment from a publicly traded company. And we picked it up. They changed their companies into Valuetees. Then we started changing the structure. We're going to do some interviews. We're going to talk to some people like yourself. And boom, that became interesting. We do an interview with Michael Francis. It's on the cover of World Star. Everybody's messaging us. And we're like, wait a minute, this thing just got that many views? This thing got this many views?
Yeah.
What can we do now?
Michael Francis is a famous mobster.
Yeah.
Out of Long Island or something like that? Where was he?
Right around here. He was making, anywhere between $2 to $10 million a week in a gas business.
Yeah, he was a smart mobster.
He was a smart mobster.
Rare.
Yes.
Yeah. He found a hack.
Yes.
What was it? What was the gas hack again?
The gas tax. It was the 41-cent discount
this is brilliant. Yeah.
Because he wasn't paying the gas tax.
Yeah.
And
so he connected with the actual gas stations, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Break it down.
Him and the Russian mob worked together closely, and he could get gas cheaper than anybody else for you. 20-cent discount for you. And everybody was calling him. He was the guy that was running everybody. And then next thing you know, they're like, wait a minute. This guy's making the Fortune magazine comes at the top 50 most powerful mobsters in America. He's on like number 13 list at the age of 38.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, why is this guy on
he's
this
not even
list?
a boss. I don't even know if he was made at the time, right?
He was a capo.
Okay.
He was a capo. So there's the boss, the consigliere, the underboss, then you have capo. He was a capo.
Okay.
Sammy was a underboss under Gotti, and Sammy made money, but Michael was known as the earner.
Yeah. Okay, so you get into these mob guys and you're doing a bunch of these interviews.
Yeah.
And when do you pivot? When does it become, when do you feel like you can affect culture a little bit more? Because I feel like now that you're tapping more into culture, I don't like to call it politics. I think politics is a reflection of culture. But I feel like you're talking a lot more about culture and the things that you're saying. It's not only motivational stuff when it comes to business, but it's also opinion when it comes to, societal breakdown, if you will.
So in Hollywood, they look at actors like Justin Timberlake and they call him what? They call him triple threat, right? This guy can dance, he can sing, he can act, right? There's not a lot of them out there that are good in those 3 areas, right? If you were to look at some of the names, maybe you put Will Smith in there, maybe you put Chris Brown in there, but then you have Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
That's there. Okay.
Jamie Foxx.
100% Jamie Foxx. Yeah, 100% Jamie Foxx. So for me, I'm looking at the game and I'm studying everybody. And I said, okay, this guy is a great host. That is a skill set. What's a great host? What do you think? What do you think? Do you agree with each other? What do you disagree with what he has to say? Andrew, how about yourself? So that's a host. That's a skill set, right? To be a great host. Like Larry King is a great host. But nobody will say, what was Larry King's opinion on XYZ? That's not his game. He played this, right?
Ernie Johnson on Inside the NBA.
Say that again?
Ernie Johnson on Inside the NBA.
Ernie
Shaq,
Johnson inside the, absolutely. He is a great host, right? But if I ask you right now, what is Ernie's opinion on XYZ? You're not going to think about it, right? Yeah. Then you have talent opinion, Barkley. That guy makes the show, right?
Yeah.
Talent opinion, here's what I think we ought to, they're making a mistake. These guys are a bunch of idiots. San Antonio underwears are the biggest. Let me tell you. What is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
But he's entertaining.
Yeah.
Chuck, you can't say that. Why'd you just say that? I said, I got to say this the truth. Okay. So you got a host. You got the talent, the opinion, and then you got analyst, Kenny Smith, which means, let me give you an idea why based on this data, okay? Each is attracted by a different kind of an audience, right? If you can do all 3, now you got a different kind of a element of talent. So for me, I looked at this and I said, okay, I enjoy this, okay? I enjoy listening to banter, conversation, but then I got opinions about different things. So there is risk with the opinion game.
Big time.
That's the risk. So a lot of times I had a meeting with this guy today, billionaire, business guy, Hollywood music. What we talked about for breakfast, you can't talk in his world and give what he really thinks about, his opinion. If he does, it could ruin a lot of his business and his life.
Yeah.
So there's a risk into doing that. Eventually I said, you know what? I'm going to do this with Valuetainment. Here's my opinion. Here's what I believe. Here's what I do. If you don't like it, I totally get it. But I'm going to give it to you from my POV. And then I'm going to do PBD podcast, and I want to talk about everything. And I got a lot of interest in culture, family, parenting, kids, economy, politics, add them all together. So there was an evolution in it. First, I was just creating content to talk business. Then I started interviewing. Then it's opinion, and then, that's kind of, it came about.
Do you think you'd be able to do it if you were still running the insurance business?
Not the way I'm doing it today.
Because they'd attack you for it.
Oh, they're doing it today. But I say, okay, great. What do you want me to do?
Really? I haven't seen a lot of people go at you yet.
No. When I'm from the space.
Oh, it will happen.
In the space.
Yeah.
In the space, in the insurance industry. So when I'm,
of course, they're competing with you there.
When I'm building the company and I'm in the process of wanting to sell the company, if the company has a category where my opinions are linked to XYZ, a buyer doesn't want to buy the company because did you hear what the founder said? Mm-hmm. Did you hear what this guy said? There's an element of that where you have to massage your way through on what you really want to say. I think it's wise to do it anyways, but today the handcuffs are off today.
Was that also part of the draw of starting your own YouTube channel? As I sold my business, or not starting, but really getting into it. Now I can finally say what I feel, whereas before you had to conceal it for.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, there's a liberation to having the fuck you money.
Yeah, I can tell you fuck you.
Exactly, especially if you're gonna have very strong opinions, and you have very strong opinions.